She was accused of perfidy and preparing for high treason. Those who knew her still find it hard to believe.
We were all horrified, of course. Above all, we didn't know how it would all turn out. We hoped she'd just be locked up for 3 weeks, maybe even 3 months, and then she'd come back, until we realized it wasn't that easy.
The Gestapo commanded her to leave the order. The sisters submitted petitions of mercy.
We always prayed, always. And she always hoped as well, I believe. I don't believe that she expected to be killed.
But Sister Restituta was condemned to death and executed. Passing sentence, the court described her as a serious threat to the security of the Reich. The Pope beatified her in 1998. Heydrich's Gestapo penetrated every layer of German society. They even kept files on the Nazi leaders. They also turned the private lives of ordinary citizens into Gestapo business, as August Landmesser was to find out. In 1937, he was arrested by the Gestapo for having sexual relations with a Jewish woman.
It was particularly bad when my mother became pregnant the second time. Before I was even born, my father was taken into detention for the crime of racial disgrace.
In 1938, August Landmesser was imprisoned for 2.5 years. The Nazi race laws forbade him to marry Irma Eckler, the mother of both his children.
She was taken away when I was 11 months old. The Gestapo arrested her and sent her off to a concentration camp.
Only one family photo survives. Irma died in 1942 in Ravensbrück concentration camp. Conscripted into the German army, August Landmesser was sent to fight in Yugoslavia.
I continued to wait for him.
In Hamburg,
I went to the Damter station in Hamburg. There's a railway bridge there. And I often stood there watching the trains coming in. They were the trains bringing back homecoming soldiers.
But Irena's father never did come back. She grew up as an orphan. All Irena has left of her parents is a few photographs.
I would have had a caring mother and a caring father.
While the SS carried out his orders, Heydrich found time to enjoy frequent holidays with his wife Lina and their children.
What applied to Heydrich applied to others too. He was like Himmler, like Höss, the commander at the Auschwitz concentration camp. They were caring fathers. People close to them didn't see the cruelty and inhumanity in them.
Utterly convinced that he was in the right, Heydrich was undisturbed by guilt or pity. He maintained his happy family life as he unleashed his relentless campaign of terror across Europe. Gestapo chief Reinhard Heydrich and his wife Lina had 4 happy, healthy children. They often spent summer holidays on the island of Fehmarn. Heydrich used to fly himself there direct from Berlin. He'd work on state papers while his children played around him. But on the 1st of September 1939, he wrote his wife an unexpected farewell letter invoking the values of the SS.
Bring up our children to believe in Germany's Führer, to be ruthless in obeying the basic laws of the SS, ruthlessly disciplined, kind-hearted to their own people, and merciless towards all enemies, at home and abroad.
War had come to Europe. Heydrich, in spite of his high rank, was determined to see action. He served as a rear gunner in Luftwaffe attacks on Lublin, Poland. If you constantly decide over life and death, he said, you must look death in the eyes yourself.
He had no experience of the front, none at all. That was probably the decisive factor in him wanting to go. He wanted to be part of the action and would do anything to get there.
Back from Poland, he soon became even more powerful. In 1939, he was put in charge of the newly created Reich Security Headquarters, which consolidated the SS grip on policing and security. Wielding these new powers, Heydrich had police reserves mobilized for mass murder in Poland. Police Reserve Battalion 102 from Hamburg was among the units under SS control. Its men shot as many as 200 Polish prisoners a day. They were carrying out Heydrich's order to render harmless the entire top-ranking population of Poland. Poland was the prelude to a new dimension of murder. With the outbreak of war, Heydrich couldn't continue the Nazi policy of expelling Jews. The Soviet Union was to be the testing ground for his new approach to the so-called Jewish question. In May 1941, in the Saxon castle of Prech, Heydrich informed top-ranking SS officers of a sinister new mission. Men like Otto Ohlendorf were to lead SS death squads to liquidate the Jews of the Soviet Union. Heydrich warned him the mass murder would be a tough job. Within a month, 4 Einsatzgruppen, or task forces, were ready. Under Heydrich's overall command, they included members of the Gestapo, the secret police, the Waffen-SS, and other police officers.
We were always told we would be sent to the front if it was necessary. We were told that we would be securing areas behind the lines, for example against partisans, ferreting out soldiers of the Red Army who had lost contact with their units, and so on.
Heydrich and his SS top brass knew differently. He cold-bloodedly advised his commanders, be ruthless where you have to be ruthless.
For me and for my fellow soldiers, it was an enormous turning point in our attitude. We found it so difficult to comprehend. Until then, we had thought that such mass extermination was only ever perpetrated by the communists. And now it was suddenly the cultured German nation that was practicing it.
In July 1941, in the sand dunes of Libau in Latvia, the true purpose of the Einsatzgruppen was revealed.
There were a couple of hundred of us, and suddenly the order was given. All men out. My father began to cry. He kissed me, gave me his wristwatch. He knew it was the end.
All men fit for military service were rounded up.
I saw how they were killed. I was only 100, 150 meters away from the spot. We had a forest track. That's where we kept our vehicle, you see. And from there we could see everything.
By the end of 1941, the 3,000 men from Heydrich's Einsatzgruppen had personally shot 300,000 to 400,000 Jews. They included Fanny Segal's father.
I took his coat and went to the prison. There was a policeman there. I said, "Look, my father was brought here yesterday. Do me a favor and give my father his coat. His name is Mergowitz." He said, "Little girl, when was your father taken?" I said, "Yesterday at around 5 o'clock." He said, "Girl, go home. Your father doesn't need his coat anymore."